Welcome to another episode of Unraveling Success. I am so excited today to have a dear friend of mine, Holly Bloom, with us. Holly Bloom is a managing partner of Cannaday Bloom Wealth and Insurance Services, and she is also one of the owners of River Falls Golf Course, and which has also a little new endeavor, which she'll share with us a little bit later today. Holly and her hubby Tony live in River Falls, Wisconsin, with their three kiddos. And in her spare time, which she really basically doesn't have, she loves to travel, spend time with friends and family, and she is definitely an avid golfer. So welcome today, Holly. I'm excited to have you with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. It's an honor to get to appear with you today and share my story.
Aw. I think stories are so powerful. In fact, in sales training, more and more I'm hearing about the power of stories. And I think that there's so many lessons that we can learn. And if we can help young entrepreneurs kind of skip a few steps or stub their toe a few less times on their own journey, like it's amazing to start sharing. And I think it helps other people get to know who we are.
So, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's start off, and if you want to share your specific definition of success.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if I had $1 for every time I had to bang my head against the wall and figure things out on my own, it's the least I can do to share my experiences and hopefully help somebody. My definition of success really is helping people, and it's activity driven. So I've never been somebody to look at the dollars that go into my account and judge my success based on that. It's all about activity. It's about how many new clients can I connect with, how many people can I connect with, and how can I help. So by coming alongside somebody and taking something off of their plate, easing a burden, allowing them to get out on the golf course and have some fun and enjoy each other, enjoy their family, that's really my greatest measure of success is that impact of helping people.
It's funny because you said at the very end of your definition exactly the word that kept popping in my head as you were sharing your definition, and that word was impact. So, yep, I love that. And I think that's a really special place to be in too, where you're measuring your success by how you are able to better other people's lives and situations. Like, that's a good spot to be in.
I'm very lucky. Yeah. And that definition changes, right? It's one that I've discovered, and it's been a journey to come to, but I wouldn't trade this life for anything. As hard as it might be, and as much as I overwork from time to time, it's something that I really treasure and I enjoy.
Yeah. And I have always had a tendency to overwork as well, but I also think that I just love what I do so much that I don't really feel it's work. Although I'm thankful that I have Adam that will put a little pause in my calendar for me, because otherwise I wouldn't do that. And then I probably wouldn't love what I do as much.
Oh, 1,000%. Absolutely. And surrounding yourself, I'm sure you feel this way, surrounding yourself with the right people, right? Having the right people on the bus, because the more I realize an outreach as an entrepreneur, it's all about the people that you have to support your business and support your clients 1,000%.
I could not agree with that more. That's a huge key.
Absolutely.
So I love your success journey. It's full of kind of some twists and turns. And one of the things that I really like about you too is that you grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Mm-hmm. I didn't. And it's been interesting for me to even just watch my kids now grow up in an entrepreneurial family and to see their the different headspace that they have as far as maybe what's possible. And so if you just want to give us kind of a little bit of a flyover version of what your success and entrepreneurial journey has looked like so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know I look young. I tell people that I've been working for 30 years already at this point. I know you know this, knowing a little bit about our family and going to mutual churches way back when. I have 5 brothers and sisters. We were all a year apart. And when I was right around 4 years old, my family decided to open a golf course. So they bought farmland. It was either going to be a ski resort or a golf course, and golf course won out, which looking back and in the journey, that was definitely the way it was meant to be and for our benefit. But at a very young age, I learned just how hard being an entrepreneur is. So, my parents worked multiple jobs just to try to put food on the table while they were building the golf course, mortgaged everything that we owned. And, thankfully the community came around us to support us. And, we went to 5 or 6 different food shelves in a week just to have enough food on the table. The community is the one that oftentimes filled the Christmas gifts under our tree. I vividly remember as a young child waking up Christmas morning thinking there would be nothing there. And thankful for the community and the support that they gave us to have a really good childhood. So now come full circle, my family's been able to give back and to continue giving to Toys for Tots in the local communities and the local food shelves, which is really cool to see. But it was horrifying. It was terrifying. I remember it as a child, and I actually swore that I would never be an entrepreneur because of that. And here I am.
It's in your blood.
It's in my blood. I can't get away from it. And I love it. I really do. So that is what brought me into financial services first. So back in 2015, I became a managing partner with Principal Financial Group and Cannaday Bloom Wealth and Insurance Firm. And from there, the entrepreneur blood just couldn't stop. So I'm still a managing partner today with Cannaday Bloom, but my husband and I have taken on a new venture. So we actually found ourselves back in the golf course business. We bought River Falls Golf Club here in December of just this last year of 2023. So I thought we were building our dream home and we were going to take it easy for a little while. And my husband came up with this idea. And the idea of purchasing the golf course actually came from another place, which is interesting. My husband was let go from 3M in one of their big layoffs. And luckily, he was offered to be reabsorbed in the company in another management position. But he was just tired of corporate America. So I thought he was going to go back to the corporate lifestyle, and it was a huge shock to the system when he said he did not want to.
I bet.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, and I felt terrible because here I was telling him I actually was hoping that he would lose his job in the layoffs. I know that he's a high achiever, and I just didn't think he was reaching his full potential in that position. So I felt terrible when he came to me that Monday and said, "Hey, I just got fired. You got your wish." Yeah. So it was an interesting journey. But with that said, our next intent was actually to start looking at different properties for an event venue space. So we actually didn't plan to go into the golf course world. I have lost very many family and friends at young ages and at old ages. And it really hit me near and dear to my heart that I wanted to open a celebration of life venue and have a celebration of life experience. Kind of an open platform. People could bring their pastor in. They could have a traditional service at a funeral home and then come to our space if they wanted to do a different celebration. And that's actually the journey that Tony and I were on. So we had looked at different properties in Wilson, Wisconsin, and some others to open an event space. And Tony came home one day and he was doing a concrete job, actually, came home and said, "How about the River Falls Golf Course? That's been for sale for a while." And right away for me, it was, nope, we don't need to take that on. I was going right back into my childhood trauma. all the triggers were flaring.
Oh, I bet.
Yes, but I'm so thankful that we did. It was the bank here locally in River Falls came around us and helped us with the lending, and now we're about to launch Viva Remembrance, which is the celebration of life venue that'll be operating out of the golf course venue.
Yeah. Wow.
I maybe give you a little bit more than you wanted, but that's an overview.
What's popping in my head is just, I know running an insurance agency, is a task. And thankfully I too have an amazing team. But I'm also thinking, adding on really 2 other businesses. And like you said, Tony does concrete as well. The River Falls Golf Course had been for sale for a long time. So that means, is it Control-Alt-Delete? I mean, you're basically starting over again with a golf course. And then also, was it already running or was it shut down, River Falls Golf Course?
Yeah, so it was running and operating, and the previous owners had very much been doing a fantastic job. They really came into the golf course in 2011 and saved it. They put in a brand new irrigation system. They overhauled the building and added on to the venue side. So by the time we came along in 2023, they had already put so much love and money into the space that allowed it to continue to be a golf course. There had been some talks about it being a land investment and maybe turning into a development, and that's just the opposite of what Tony and I want. So we're happy that we're able to come in. Yeah, yes, it's going to be a golf course. It's going to be a beautiful event space, and we're making our own renovations right now.
I've seen that, and I've also noticed a lot more marketing. Like you guys have really kind of breathed some new, fresh life, and I can see the community and actually surrounding communities as well being really attracted to the venue now. Like, I mean, just even being, in the community next to you, I can see that. So I think it's amazing. So tell me a little, and it's the celebration of life, and you said, is it Viva?
Viva. Yeah. Viva Remembrance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about, what that looks like. Dig in a little bit deeper of why that became a passion of yours. Like, what sparked that?
Yeah, good question. I've lost friends that were very, very young. They're the life of the party, just the most beautiful souls. And, going through those funeral services for a young person, it is just so sad. There's so much grief. It took me so many years to work through some of these people passing. And I just really wanted to be able to support families in a different way. But not only that, I want to have that blank space. I want to be able to help people create and help come to their aid in a time of need when they're grieving. But also I want to focus on pre-planning. So a large portion of Viva will be pre-planning, even for young people, right? I don't care if you're 20 years old. We're not invincible, and we don't know that we are guaranteed tomorrow. So, with technology on our side, it's a beautiful gift. We can help people create a log of some kind that they can go in and log in, and they can edit and just mention, what kind of music would you like? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to have a karaoke night because you love to sing? Are you a classic car collector? Let's go out in the parking lot and let's have a car show. Like, there's so many cool ways to celebrate people. And that's pre-planning, I think, is a big area of focus because of that. I want to take that burden off of the family, because in times of grief, at least for me, I'm not level-headed. I'm not thinking about these things. You're putting one foot in front of the other, and you really need good support. So hopefully we can get to more people.
And it's such a short time frame that you're working in. So it's just like trying to make decisions that need to be done quickly when you're already in a headspace where everything is right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Just thinking about, if I were in that position, and thankfully I haven't had to do that myself yet. I know the day is coming, but what could I do to make that person's life easier? I just spoke with a woman today who recently buried her father, and her mother now passed after a long battle with cancer. And she was literally crying on the phone just because I was making the process so much easier on her. I just asking some really good questions to get to know who her mother was. And my hope and goal in this is that I can start to reach these folks that are terminally ill ahead of time, right? And take that completely off of the family's plate. Maybe even have that party before they pass. When I think about my own experiences, if I was terminally ill, I'd want all my loved ones to gather and let's have a rager. That's the way I think of it, right? Let's get a band. Let's all get together. Let's tell funny stories. Let's try to grieve together.
That's really good. I love that it's more personal and personalized, and there's more intention put behind it rather than just like the same stuff we expected next experience. Is definitely an industry that I feel like could use some modernization, I guess you could say, from an experience standpoint. It's interesting that you said that, because my mother-in-law passed away 13 years ago now. And so that was at that time, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law were engaged but not married. And we knew she was not going to make it to their wedding. And so they actually did a little ceremony for family and close friends ahead of time for her. She actually ended up passing, I want to say it was like 3 days later. So, but that is actually what the tone of that get together was like. It was actually more of like a celebration. We had so much fun. And she actually was still able to really like participate and be present, even though we knew the end was really close. So just having had like that personal experience, I can definitely share like that. From my own experience, I would agree that having even a party ahead of time, if it's feasible, is actually very, very meaningful. Yeah, that's an awesome idea.
Well, it just tells you a little bit about my passion. You even see me, I just get going, and I don't want to say excited, because it's a terrible experience, right? And there needs to be that balance of respect and grieving, and it's not all excitement and rainbows and butterflies, right? But I'm just so passionate about making an impact, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah, but as you're absolutely right. And to add on to it, I would say there's not one of us that's actually ever made it out alive. So it becomes like a societal, like, not norm to talk about it. But it's weird because there's not one of us that's not going to experience it. Right? So it really should, I think probably it's a more cultural thing. I think in other cultures, it's probably a much more discussed and not so taboo of a topic, So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions I have for you and this is one of my favorite questions, is in your entrepreneurial journey, what has been your favorite hard or the hardest moment or season that you've gotten the most mileage out of maybe after? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, one comes to mind right away for me. In this whole journey that I've had, one of the things that was the hardest, but also the most beautiful, is establishing partnerships and across all businesses, right? Who can you rely on? Who can you lean on for information to help clients to come into the golf side and help with banquets? And you can't do it on your own. And I would say that's been my biggest hard, is figuring out, who really is the best of the best at what they do and has the same values that I do. Because I'm a huge values person, right? If somebody doesn't have the same heart that I do, it doesn't mean that it's not good and that they're not good, right? But it's just not good for me or for my client necessarily. So that's where I stand in the hardest of hearts, but also these beautiful relationships that I've come across.
Yeah. And that's hard when you have high standards, because, not everybody does. And I'm not saying that as like a derogatory, rude statement. I'm just saying, like, when you have high standards and you only want to surround yourself with that, it makes your circle small.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can relate to that. So talk to me a little bit. So you and Tony kind of work together. I know you probably stay in your lane a little bit, but I mean, I'm touching this topic because I also, like, Adam is my CFO, and so I work with my husband as well. And even though we have our own lanes, there is still an element of collaboration that has to happen in business. That's just what it is. But then you also have, your marriage to navigate as well. So talk to me a little bit about how you guys navigate that with the golf course, and then also with launching Viva.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely always the challenge. I would say staying in our lane, top number one, right? We have to trust each other to be able to perform and do the duties that the team needs. And that's not always as easy as it sounds. I would say, for us, it's about collaboration. And it's so interesting, and you know this about Tony. So he's a mechanical engineer. He's very, very smart. He's very analytical and logical based, which I know, Adam can have those components too, your husband. And I am very intuition driven and more impulsive. I don't want to say impulsive like it's a bad thing, because I don't think it's a bad thing. I think my steps are always
it's not.
Yeah, I'm very calculated about these steps, but when I know it's right, I go and I don't look back. And so I think we have a good yin and yang in that, and we can collaborate, but it does come with challenges of us butting heads, and oftentimes, I'll come up with an idea, or I'll say, hey, we're going this direction, and I have to rein it back and slow it down as he's processing and analyzing. And then I, on the flip side, have to be patient.
Yeah. So Adam and I have done a lot of different assessments. I mean, not even intentionally in marriage, right? But like in business. And one of them was the Colby Index that we did, which is a fascinating assessment. It actually talks about like your how. It's not a personality assessment at all. And it measures a number of things, but the two that I will share are your information gathering, and the other one is your quick start, or fact finder, it's called, which is information gathering. So it measures on a scale of 1 to 10. And so fact finder, I will gather up to like a 5. So I'll gather like in the middle, but I use a lot of my gut, and I'm also in the industry that I've been in for 4 years. So, I'm going to gather, I'm going to use some of my experience, I'm going to use my intuition, I'm going to gather up to a 5. But my quick start is a 9 out of 10. So I make really fast decisions and I move really, really quick. So Adam, on the other hand, is an 8 for a fact finder. So he's a researcher, and he likes to dig, and he's much more, as you pegged it when you explained how him and Tony will show up. But so not only is he over here gathering more information than I do, but he's over here, and his quick start is a 2 out of a 1 to 10. So he used to always say to me, you scare the crap out of me, because I'm just over here just going, right? Like, and he's just like, I'm like 10 or 15 steps behind. So, now it used to be, actually, this was quite a few years ago, like the source of frustration. But now I realize, like, sometimes I do need to slow down. Sometimes he needs to speak up. And it is a good yin and a yang. And, but it's also just understanding, like, there's not a right or a wrong. It's just different hows. And even though the 9 with the quick start can make me look impulsive, I am very calculated. Like, I don't just, I actually still am a planner too. Like, I just move fast.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'm sure you can relate. I feel like I just regurgitated what you and Tony are in my own words.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you. For me, it's more of it's calculating internally, probably at times that I shouldn't be, right? This brain is always going 100 miles an hour and I can't turn it off. But I'm playing these scenarios out in my mind constantly so that when I get to the task or I get to the decision, it's already been played out, right? I've already come to whatever decision I need to. And there's been a lot of time spent, but that's why I don't sleep very much and I end up working a lot.
It's internal. It's not necessarily,
Yes. Yep. I have very many lists in my phone for when these ideas and things pop into my mind, and I just try to record them so that I'm not spending too much time on the computer and constantly in front of a screen.
I can relate. Up until this last year, I had a notebook on my nightstand because I'd wake up with ideas and then I couldn't fall back asleep because I was scared I would remember the idea. So I learned if I write it out, which I could use my phone too, but if I write it out, and I know that it's someplace where I can go back to it, I can go back to sleep then. It's the funny little things we do, right?
Hey, but if they work, that's all that matters, right? Gets it done.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me how old your kiddos are right now. You have 3.
Yeah, so that's been a journey in itself. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 6. I have, and that's my son, AJ. I've got a little girl, Rudy, who is turning 4 this weekend. And then I have a 2-year-old as well, Dylan, and she is a little spitfire and will keep up with brother and sister and then some.
I bet. And 2, I felt like 3 was always, it wasn't terrible 2s for me. It was always 3 always felt harder than, that was the hardest age for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, motherhood is such a journey. I feel like 3 is definitely a handful. I'm still 50-50. If I can bring one more into the mix without losing my mind, I'm not sure. But I'm hoping that, I'm hoping I can handle one more.
Yeah, that is. So, I mean, that would be 4 kids in an entrepreneurial household. I mean, I feel like you're kind of following your how you grew up unintentionally.
Oh, yes. I look at the ages of my children at the same ages that I was and my siblings were when we purchased Badlands Golf Course, about the same ages at River Falls Golf Club. And it's fun because I went out this spring looking for golf balls with my 6-year-old, and I got to tell him, like, oh, this is what mom used to do when she was a kid. I used to go out and pick up golf balls, and I would have to scrub them very, very intently to make sure they were sparkling clean. And then for every one that I found and cleaned, I would get 10 cents. So we brought the neighbor kids out to the golf course. Yeah. It was that was earning our keep, and getting to earn a little bit of money was a bonus. But we brought our neighbor kids up here, and we were looking for golf balls.
Amazing.
And I heard my son, my 6-year-old, tell our neighbor boy, well, this is what my mom used to do. This is how she would earn money, and kind of regurgitating that story to his friend. And it was so sweet. It just melted my heart.
Yeah. And honestly, even just a year ago, you wouldn't have necessarily thought that your life would look what it looks like right now.
Oh, never. Yeah. Yeah. The twists and turns are unknown once you really fully commit to that entrepreneur lifestyle.
It's true. And it reminds me of there's an article I read, and it's been within the past few months. And I literally, this concept keeps coming up to me. But it's the idea of, we have IQ, so how smart you are. We have EQ, emotional intelligence. But it was an article on AQ, and it talked about the power of adaptability and being flexible. And that in the future, given how fast the speed of change is moving at this point in our world, that really those that are the most adaptable are going to really win, because you just got to kind of flex and flow so much more than you've ever had to in history. And also props to you guys for being willing to roll the dice on yourselves and take a risk. Because not only are you, starting Viva, which is amazing, but then you're also, taking on a whole new business with staff, and what a blessing that you're familiar with the golf world, that isn't going to be as much of a learning curve for you, but you can also probably do some neat things and skip a few steps to impact the golf course, because you've been there, done that, right?
Oh, absolutely. As you see me turn my chair as the sun just keeps coming into my window here, I'm really a believer in every chapter. It's going to invoke change, right? Every few, I don't want to use the word pivot because I know we're going to go to a friend's meme in our minds here, but it really always is about pivoting. As you're going on your journey, just constantly making these tweaks and changes. And I'm a big believer that every chapter leads you to where you are supposed to be. Prior to becoming a managing partner with Cannaday Bloom, I was in home and auto insurance with Liberty Mutual. And, I learned so much in that position that led me to the next chapter and the next chapter. And it's just really cool to see that building.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been. And it's just awesome that you've been willing to take the next steps and try something different and try something new. And I think the more we do that as business owners too, the more confidence we find in ourselves, that you can trust yourself to move forward in a new endeavor, even when you don't necessarily know all that what the next step is going to entail. Right? But you can trust yourself.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree with that.
So tell me, do you have goals set for your next 5 years?
I do. Yeah, I've got goals set. Honestly, my goal is to hopefully slow it down a little bit, enjoy my children. So really the opposite of where my goals were 10 years ago. And when I say slow it down, I should say I don't mean, slow down any of the businesses that we're operating, but just doing it differently, continuing to get the right people in place, continuing to mentor and bring that next person up with me. That's what I plan to focus my time to, even more so than I already have been. But for me, it's always going to be helping. So it's just a new version of helping.
Right. An expanded version.
Absolutely. And maybe a little more downtime, maybe a little bit more travel.
Yeah. I think you've earned that by far. If you were to share what you feel like your major keys to success have been, what would you say that those are?
Well, as traumatic as some moments might have been, I would definitely say the work ethic that was instilled in us at a young age through my parents, pillars for success. Not only the work ethic, but just the values. My family really embodied being a group, a family that you could trust. And people would come around and become family very quickly at their golf course. And they still operate that way today. So I would say that's definitely the boiling. If I had to boil it all down, that would be at the root, is just really taking care of people. And working really hard at a young age. Now, not that didn't come with its own struggles, and it's hard for me to turn it off, but it definitely has led to a lot of success.
Awesome. I love it. And I can see it through and through. It's very apparent. So, Holly, thank you for your time today. It was truly a pleasure. I'm proud of you. And I think that's it. For more information on Holly and to connect with her on any of her endeavors, her contact information is going to be in all of our show notes with ways that you can explore all the different endeavors that Holly is involved with. I mean, it's pretty exciting, so definitely worth following.
Thank you, Beth, and happy to help anybody that has questions that might be going through similar situations or just wants an ear to listen. I'm always here.
Can't think of a better mentor.
Thank you. And thanks for asking me to come on today. This is my first time, and it was really fun and exciting.